And we are very much looking forward to introducing our guest in just a short time and having a really interesting topic about the discussion about this topic of solving the shortage of technical instructors in the state of Wisconsin, in the Midwest, and across the United States. Now, given that territory and given that geography, as some of you know, I have an opportunity to talk and work with educators all over the United States, people teaching technical education in our K-8 and K-12 school districts, people responsible for curriculum, responsible for all of those relationships. I get an opportunity to talk to people as instructors and presidents and deans of our technical colleges and professors of our universities and so on. The biggest crisis I can tell you from having those discussions, the biggest crisis facing technical education, what do you think it is? Some might say, it's really difficult to teach tech ed in this era of COVID with distance learning when we're so reliant on hands-on skills. And certainly that is a challenge. Some folks might say, budgets are constrained in some areas and we don't always have the resources we need to be able to put together the type of programs we would like to for our students. Indeed, that is a challenge as well. Some folks may cite enrollment as a challenge. All of these are challenges, but I can tell you without question, the biggest crisis today facing the world of technical education is the shortage of skilled talent to deliver the learning to our students. And that's not just me, that's backed up by significant data. This from the National Student Research Foundation and a report called CTE Research and Faculty Shortages. Would you believe that 71% of, we have a 71% shortage of teachers across all STEM areas in the United States? That we also have a 71% shortage of teachers in health sciences. We have a 73% shortage of teachers in IT. Now, many of you that are with us today are responsible for teaching in these areas or responsible for learning that takes place in these areas. But the most acute shortage today is an 81% shortage of teachers capable of teaching manufacturing skills. That is why today's topic is important, is we're talking to a technical college that is partnered with a national organization to help do their part in solving this problem. So to put this discussion in context, I have to start by telling you about the national organization. So this college's partner is the Manufacturing Skills Standards Council. If you're not familiar with them, they are the national leader in certifying frontline technicians and operators in the world of advanced manufacturing. They've been around for a long time, since 1998, as a matter of fact, when they were recognized federally under the National Skills Standards Act. They've partnered, believe it or not, with over 700 corporations and trade associations across the United States in developing their certifications. And today they can boast 2,700 national MSSC trained instructors. And in addition to that, they have authorized test sites, over 1,500 of them, 1,760 to be exact. Would you believe that there's actually an ISO standard? And many of us in manufacturing are familiar with ISO 9000, 9001, 9002. There is a national certification, ISO 17024, for manufacturing and logistics certifications. This is the only organization to be accredited under that ISO standard for both of those types of certifications. They've been endorsed by the National Association of Manufacturers for Manufacturing and Logistics, and they have several certifications. We are touching today on one or two of them in particular. So the first one we want to talk about is the Certified Production Technician. Again, all of this isn't to push any ideas on anybody. It's to put our discussion into context. But MSSC has their CPT certification that covers safety, quality practices and measurement, manufacturing process and production, and maintenance awareness. As all of us know, these are really, really important competencies in the world of advanced manufacturing. And we add on top of that, for those that have an interest in it, green production, and talking about how we make sure that our production is taking place in an environmentally responsible and conscious fashion. So not too long ago, CPT realized that we want to make sure that we're staying on top of cutting edge technology and advancements in cutting edge technology. They created the Certified Production Technician 4.0, which integrates with these competencies on the left, advanced manufacturing and industry 4.0 competencies like 5G and artificial intelligence, autonomous robotics, nano manufacturing, and advanced materials. So who are these certifications appropriate for? We want to make it clear that these are appropriate for entry level and frontline supervisors in manufacturing. So entry level manufacturing positions, frontline supervisors. We're not training technicians. We're not training engineers. In this case, these are great competencies for people that are just getting into or advancing in the early stages of their manufacturing career, and they are fantastic for that. Now, another realization that CPT recognized was that they were delivering their learning primarily over an e-learning platform, performing their assessments through theoretical assessments on an e-learning platform. Well, we all know, and I know from my 23 years in manufacturing, that manufacturing is a hands-on environment. And not only do we need to understand the competencies, we need to know how to put them to work. So CPT was then morphed into what we call CPT plus. CPT didn't go away, but we added another layer onto it, CPT plus, which starts to integrate those hands-on skills that are so very important in advanced manufacturing. And as part of that, MSSC and one of their partners introduced the Skill Boss. If we look at this piece of equipment, it has every single technology you would expect to see in an advanced manufacturing environment: an electric motor, a programmable logic controller, a variable frequency drive, a 3-axis robot, pneumatics, solenoids, an e-stop. We can learn lockout, tagout, all these different technologies. In fact, over 60 different skills that can be performed on the Skill Boss device, which enables a individual to earn not just the CPT, but to perform the hands-on skills and earn CPT plus using the Skill Boss device. So the challenge then became, how do we create trainers that can prepare instructors to deliver this learning, that can prepare instructors to demonstrate and assess the hands-on skills on the Skill Boss device? And that is what we are talking about today, is how one college and one national organization partnered to create the first of its kind national master manufacturing training center to train individuals to deliver learning in advanced manufacturing and do their part in solving the biggest crisis facing technical education. So we're really, really excited to welcome today's guest. He's my friend, Matt Jennison from Gateway Technical College. Let me tell you a little bit about Matt Jennison. He's been the vice president of the Business and Workforce Solutions Division at Gateway since October of 2017, but he's been there since 2011, going all the way back to 2011. He served as Gateway's NC3 instructor and coordinator, responsible for coordinating partners in every sector of the economy to develop and implement industry credentials. So when we talk about these industry credentials, Matt is certainly no stranger to that world. He holds a bachelor and master's of science degrees in industrial and technology education and a doctorate in career and technical education, all from the University of Wisconsin-Stout. His background starting out is in automotive. He's an ASE certified master technician with a number of other ASE endorsements, and he has also authored a textbook, Guide to Diagnostic Product Certification. So Matt, it is such a pleasure to welcome you to Webinar Wednesday. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks, Matt. I say my pleasure. Definitely a topic that I have a lot of interest in and a lot of background in, being a previous high school instructor and career and technical education, and then going to a technical college. And actually, my doctoral research was on the exact topic of today of the shortage of technical instructors and how that really hampers a lot, not just economically, but what schools can offer students and a great learning experience.
And we knew when we invited you to be our guest that you were the perfect example, the perfect guest, your background in this particular area. And I think, it doesn't matter who we talk to, Matt, whether it's an instructor, an industrial employer, another administrator or executive leader, you just garner tremendous respect from the market, given that really, really vast level of experience that you have. And I'm so excited to introduce you to our audience and to welcome you and to talk a little bit about this really, really cool initiative that is taking place at your college, Gateway Technical College. I think I'd like to start out, though, for some of our listeners and our viewers who may not be familiar with Gateway, and particularly the SC Johnson IMED Center. What should they know about your operation as we get going?
Yeah, so Gateway as a whole, we're one of 16 publicly funded technical colleges in Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, those 16 colleges basically serve local districts that are surrounded by county borders. So we serve the three southeasternmost counties in Wisconsin: Racine, Kenosha, and Walworth. We have about 19 different buildings spread throughout those 3 counties, which is normally a challenge, but that's actually helped us a little bit during the COVID situation to be able to spread out and keep our students safe. So we've been able to maintain those operations. We were founded in 1911, so we're 110 years old, 1920 or 2021 now, this year, so celebrating that. And the IMET Center specifically is one of our advanced technology centers that is specifically geared towards manufacturing engineering. IMET stands for the integration of manufacturing, engineering, technology, and it's our showcase center for anything engineering to our fab lab, all the way to full-scale production in Tarnowski Hall, which is a full CNC shop that now lives and breathes in the Industry 4.0 world, with everything being interconnected, and our data analytics program that is also part of our advanced manufacturing program is housed there also.
Fantastic. And it's just another example of how in that period of 110 years, Gateway has continued to innovate. I've heard it said that you were, I believe, the first technical college in the country, if I'm correct, going all the way back to 1911, and just 110 years of blazing a new trail and setting a great example. And I think today's topic is absolutely no exception to that. You are the first manufacturing master training center in the country to be selected by MSSC, and I know you're really proud of that. I would like to hear just about the significance of Gateway of being selected as the very first in this program by the Manufacturing Skills Standards Council.
Well, MSSC has always been a great partner. We've always leveraged their curriculum and content to make sure our instructors have what they need to be proficient and updated to current industry standards, and then to provide that great educational experience to our students. So to take that long-standing partnership to a new level, and also be now a source that regional schools can come to help train their instructors, so they can too provide that great educational opportunity for their students. We're very proud to be part of that, and happy to really have that service now for the Midwest region.
And certainly congratulations are in order as you're selected as that designee. So we're very, very excited for Gateway. I think it can be said that a technical or community college, there's a lot of things that make a world-class one, but that a technical or community college is only as good as its faculty and as the individuals on the front line that are delivering learning to the students, creating those relationships, setting the examples, sharing industry experience. And I know your faculty is top notch. I also know that you've selected 3 individuals from that faculty to serve as the trainer of the trainers. So yes, I know there's 4 individuals in this photo. I think the 3 are from Gateway, and then the 4th is actually the trainer of the trainers from MSSC. And would just be interested in having you introduce these individuals to our audience and tell them why their role at Gateway is so important.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Matt. There's no more, whether it's from kindergarten all the way through university, there's no more impactful role in education than the teacher, the faculty, the instructor, the professor, whatever title that they're going to go by. They have more influence on the students than anybody else. So if you want to increase student outcomes, the best thing you can do is support your faculty, give them everything they need to do a good job, and you're automatically going to have a greater educational experience and student outcome. So the 3 individuals that Gateway chose for this, that again really stepped up, and we're excited to be part of this. On the very far left is Justin Steffen. He's a newer faculty member to Gateway. So, and then the next one's the MSSC trainer. And then we have JD Jones, who's our electrical maintenance instructor, and then Tony Leston, who is also an advanced manufacturing instructor. So the thing about all these instructors, and all at Gateway, but especially these 3 individuals, they all have significant industry background. They have literally 20 plus years in the industry and then decided to become instructors. And that's very common when you look at a technical college on who we hire to be that most important influential factor in the classroom, is somebody who has lived and breathed it from the actual manufacturing or shop floor across any type of technical level. They all have the educational background, so bachelor's degrees and associate degrees in their areas, but it's that industry knowledge and experience that they bring to the classroom, and those tips and tricks that they can pass on to their students as the students begin to learn and go pro in their profession, as they begin to seek out that next job opportunity or to get into that profession. that is where the instructors really shine, and why we're so proud of them to be able to not just, take what they've already learned historically, but then add on top of it things like MSSC, CPT plus certifications, and take that to the point where they can now train other instructors. And that instructor to instructor training is, I think, one of the key parts of the CPT plus program. You don't just have somebody who's not a teacher or just an industry professional. You do have that peer-to-peer relationship now. So instructors come in, it's not just how to technically use the skill boss and the curriculum, but it's how to implement it in the classroom. Here's where my students struggled. Take these as a tip, so that way you can, learn from my mistakes. It's also that networking and professional development, instructor to instructor, not just technical expert to technical expert.
So these folks can really become mentors and companions, if you will, to the trainees as they're going through. I know all three of these gentlemen personally, by the way, and I can certainly vouch for everything you just said, including their industrial experience, which is so very important. And I think plays an important role as we're training new trainees to deliver this learning to their students. And some of those folks may be industrial people with industrial experience. Some of them may not be, but the fact that they're learning from your individuals who have spent time in industry, understand education, understand the learning process, that's going to be such a valuable experience for these trainees. So kind of turning our thoughts onto that topic, Matt, as a trainee is participating in this training, as they're coming up to speed on delivering the hands-on learning, using the skill boss, understanding CPT plus, what does that experience feel like for the individual as they're going through your training?
So the instructors really will kind of customize it to the individual experience. So a lot of the instructors that we've taught previously, they have a lot of background knowledge and technical knowledge. What they really needed was the integration knowledge. So I have this new piece of equipment, the skill boss, and curriculum that goes with it. I need to know how to implement that and integrate that into my class. So while they do go through and make sure the instructors can perform the different tasks and competencies using the skill boss, they do spend a good amount of time talking about that pedagogy of how to put it in the classroom, what will resonate with students, where they're going to get tripped up, some things to think about as you integrate that into different classes, how to break up the different competencies that are part of it into the different typical units that you may find throughout different common classes. And it automatically, has some natural conversation points of talking to each other about different classes, and even outside of the skills boss, what are some other areas that that we can collaborate on just to learn from each other. And it really designs that professional network. So it really becomes kind of a cohort. And again, after the instructors leave, definitely exchange business cards and tend to stay in touch to keep that collaboration going.
And that's fantastic that bond gets built. You had suggested learning things outside of the skill boss device and certainly understanding how to deliver the learning in that respect and delivering the learning on the skill boss device itself. Now, I think we both know, there's certainly a tremendous amount of value in that particular piece of training equipment, but that value doesn't come for free. And we know that there's an expense associated with that. You've had tremendous support from all kinds of partners at Gateway Technical College, and certainly don't mean to leave anybody out at all, because you've got some tremendous supporters. But I know the Palmer Foundation, and I've gotten to know Penny Enroth here over the course of the last several years, just a wonderful, wonderful person. That foundation has really done some great things for Gateway in general, and particularly as it relates to MSSC and the Skill Boss device. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so and you mentioned it. Penny is absolutely fantastic. What a great asset, and her and the team at the Palmer Foundation are so passionate about making sure students have an opportunity to get the skills that they need to get a good family sustaining career, not just a job, but really a career in a great and booming industry with high demand. They've been great friends of Gateway. It's definitely helped us integrate this into our existing curriculum and be able to offer it to our local high schools. So we have one of our local Racine Unified schools actually come to the IMET Center on a regular basis, or at least pre-COVID, and very soon they're coming back now as they integrate back in. And they get to experience and leverage the skill boss in their classes now too, because of the great support that we've received from the Palmer Foundation.
And I know the Palmer Foundation is doing this for a number of reasons. And I can tell just from experience and working with them, they love to see a student's eyes light up as they're learning new technologies and new applications. They love the idea that they are creating awesome career pathways for these students. But I also believe, and I know they believe, that what they're doing is having a fundamental impact on the economies in the regions where they're making these types of investments. So I'd like to turn our sights now, Matt, to talk a little bit about, as students are earning that CPT plus certification, as you see the economy, particularly in your region and your district, continuing to evolve, what will that economic impact be on your employers, on your community, and on your students?
Well, even though we have really high unemployment right now, when you talk to employers, there is still definitely a skills gap and a disconnect in the number of people they want and need to hire versus the qualified applicants that they're getting. So, and we mentioned one of the biggest crises for technical education is the lack of skilled teachers. You could probably say the same thing when it comes to manufacturing being able to expand or a business being able to expand. They can't, it's not necessarily orders, it's not necessarily materials, it's the lack of qualified labor. So the impact that we can have now in having a program like MSSC that can, not just help gateway students get a great educational experience and the skills that they need to go into our community businesses, but also now to be able to expand that outreach to other instructors from other areas is really significant. So when I talk to business and industry, they are always looking to hire. They are always looking to train their existing folks so they can promote those from within. The CPT Plus certification allows us to really hit both of those targets. So they can take a look at our current pipeline of students that are coming out of our program with those competencies and certifications. But also we can take the skill boss and go into their place of business and up train and upskill their existing workforce. So again, they have the ability to continue to meet the demand of their customers and ultimately grow their business. And as they grow their business, they hire more people, and that's ultimately good for the entire economy locally. And as a, again, public technical college, that's really our mission. We want to support our local businesses, be able to grow the local economy. And the number one thing that we're hearing from them is they need qualified people, and this program allows us to do that.
So supporting your local businesses, growing the local economy. I know you mentioned in the introduction that your district includes the counties in Wisconsin of Kenosha, Racine, and Walworth, and obviously doing great things for the residents, the communities, the employers in those three counties and surrounding areas. And then we really think about now the exponential impact that you can have by training instructors and teachers that will then leave your train the trainer program, your master manufacturing training center program, and take what they've learned back to their schools, back to their communities. So I want you to talk just a moment, if you will, Matt, about the exponential impact your work is having across your state of Wisconsin, and I would add across the entire Midwest.
Yeah, so the nice part is now our local area maybe gets a little bit expanded, and we can expand this now to, again, the Midwest. So if we need instructors that have that expertise in this area, and they need to go to a training to be able to get that credential, to be able to go back and then provide that to their students, it's nice that Gateway can serve as that now. So reduce those travel costs, make it more convenient. And again, Gateway can even come out to different locations and be able to do this too, to make it even more convenient for them. So one of the schools we worked with early on was Chippewa Valley Technical College, literally in the opposite corner of the state of Wisconsin. But they're seeing the same demands from their local employers that we are down here. And as a system, we work together to be able to have one of our instructors go up there and certify their instructors to be able to do the same type of curriculum and integration now that we do down in the southeast corner is now happening in the northwest corner of the state. So this really does have a far-reaching impact. And again, ultimately for our state or even the Midwest region, we know manufacturing is important. We know we're going to need skilled talent to support all those businesses. And Gateway is very proud to be able to, bring that a little closer to home and make that a little bit more convenient for everybody involved.
So a great example, and starting with Chippewa Valley Technical College and And I can tell you from our relationship with the dean, Jeff Sullivan, who we work really closely with their president, Bruce Parker, I know how much they value their partnership with Gateway Technical College and likewise. And I know the two colleges learn tremendous amounts from each other. And I'm sure they really appreciate you bringing them into the conversation today, Matt, as well as we talk about the impact that Gateway is having across Wisconsin, across the Midwest, and across the country. Speaking of across the country, I know we have attendees here today because I saw the registration list from all over the place. I know from watching the little Zoom link here that we've had a number of great questions come in from our audience. So I'm going to turn it back over to Melissa Martin for just a moment as she shares those questions, and we'll do our best to answer them here on Webinar Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Matt. And again, for any of our attendees, if you do have questions at this point, go ahead and enter those into the Q&A box, and we will do our best to answer them. The first question, Matt Jennison, can you tell us when is the next round of training you're offering?
So we have the CPT Plus classes scheduled the end of this month, March 29th and 30th, as well as the end of April, April 29th and 30th.
Great. And for anyone interested, they can just contact us if you're interested in participating in that training, and we'll get you all set up.
Yeah, it's a good point, Melissa. I would just add on to that, yeah, so since it's part of MSSC, the registrations do go through Lab Midwest, but you're ultimately coming to Gateway to do the training. So it's a partnership all around between those three organizations.
Absolutely. Great. Now we have an industrial employer on who asked the question, how can I get involved in this as an employer?
So if you're Southeast Wisconsin in our local area, and it doesn't exactly have to be in our three counties, but more near Gateway, you can feel free to reach out to me, and I can definitely help connect you with the right folks within the college. If you're further away, I would definitely look at your local technical or community college and see what they offer. I know in the state of Wisconsin, all 16 technical colleges are very, very specific in what they do with their local employers, and that's a driving factor for our entire system. So if they reach out to their local technical or community college, I'm sure they'll be well served.
Great. And I think we have time for one final question. Matt, can you tell us how many hours of professional development or training is included in the training process there at Gateway?
So the CPT Plus is 16 hours. So it's 2 8-hour days essentially that the instructors spend going through the curriculum, going through the hands-on, and then also doing that type of networking to discuss how it's best to integrate it in their existing programs.
Excellent. Thanks, Matt. I'll turn it over to you for wrap up.
Well, thank you, Melissa. Let me begin by thanking you, as always, for doing a fantastic job producing once again this Wednesday afternoon. I also want to thank my good friend, Dr. Matt Jennison, who did just a great job, Matt, answering our questions today, chatting a little bit about being a manufacturing master training center, all the great things that are happening at Gateway Technical College. We really appreciate you being on with us today. It's been a pleasure having you on board. And I also want to invite everybody back next week. We've got a great example and a great episode of Webinar Wednesday scheduled for you. I was at an industrial employer yesterday in the state of Wisconsin talking about the biggest challenges they have in hiring new talent. Would you believe that among the most challenging positions they have in filling is people performing the responsibility of forklift driving, of material moving, of material handling within their manufacturing plant? And they asked me specifically what solutions are on the market for training people to drive any type of forklift, any type of material moving equipment. And the truth of the matter is, at Webinar Wednesday, we have the answer to that question. So our very own Ivan Manuel next week will be helping me live from our tech center in Mequon, Wisconsin, to provide a demonstration of a simulation product that will get any learner at any level prepared to operate a forklift, prepared to do it safely, prepared to do it efficiently, and prepared to add value on day one when they get into the manufacturing, distribution, or material handling environment. So you won't want to miss that edition of Webinar Wednesday next Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock Central. Until then, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next week.